Hi everyone, thank you for your interest in the radiography program here at RCC. This is an online information session that will count towards that phase 1 admissions process. Just make sure to please follow these instructions, which are also posted below the link for our recorded session. So you want to make sure that you download the student medical form and also the Rad Packet. You'll of course watch this session. Then you'll complete the Rad Info Session test, and you need to email it to Miss Elaine Sill, and her email address is provided there on the screen for you. Just make sure you have that turned into her by June 1st at 5 p.m. So now we'll go ahead and move on to the Rad Packet. So this page here gives you a description of the program. It lists out the competencies for the program and provides information about our accreditation. The next page is going to tell you about all of the classes that are required for the program. So any course that is considered to be a general education class, and you can differentiate those because they do not have the R and D in front of them. So like your ACA 111, Bio 163, English 111, all of those are your general education classes. Any class that is a general education course must be completed with a grade of B or higher in order to count towards the admissions process and to count for the radiography program. You can complete those classes early, so you don't have to wait until your first year that you're in the radiography program, that first fall semester, to take Bio 163. You can go ahead and take it ahead of time, but you just cannot take it late. So let's say that you have all of your general education classes completed for the RAD program, except for the biology class, and you wait and take it when you're admitted into the program in that first fall semester. If you do not pass that course with a grade of B or higher, then you would be dismissed from the radiography program. We do try to offer substitutions where we can. So if you completed Bio 168 and Bio 169 with a grade of B or higher, then we will take that in place of the 163. When you move down to your first year spring semester, if you completed English 112 or English 113 with a grade of B or higher, we'll take that in place of your 114. And if you'll notice, you can take either Physics 110 and 110A, so you can either complete both the lecture and the lab for that class, or you can take this Math 171, okay? So it's an or, right? You don't have to take both of them. You can pick one or the other. So if you're stronger in physics, take physics. If you're stronger in math, take math. You can also think about what you want to do whenever you move us. So if you want to earn your bachelor's one day, if you want to go into radiation therapy, then we suggest that you take the Math 171. If you are going to be satisfied with your associate's degree and you think, maybe you'd want to do nuclear medicine or ultrasound, then you probably want to take the physics and the lab, okay? So once again, you can complete those early, you just can't complete them late. Let's see. So then you have to take the intro to ethics, and then you have to take the general psychology. So we don't typically offer substitutions for those. Okay. So all of the RAD classes are going to be taken in the semester. They are listed. They are offered one time. The radiography classes are on a different grading scale than your general education courses. So you'll need to complete all of the radiography courses in the semester listed with a grade of 77% or higher in order to continue to progress in the program. You will attend clinical starting your first semester. So this Rad 151 class that you see listed here in the fall is your first clinical course. We typically start you in clinical during the second 8-week mini-semester. So you'll have that first 8 weeks to learn some general positioning guidelines, some patient care skills, and then the second 8 weeks is when we'll start clinical, and you'll also continue with the other 3 radiography courses that are listed for fall. Your first spring semester, you'll start clinical at the beginning of the semester, typically 2 days a week. Summer's the same way, typically 2 days a week. Then in your second fall and spring semester, you attend clinical 3 days a week, typically. And of course, that's subject to change based on the clinical availability. Okay, so this lists out the guidelines for the admissions process. So Randolph Community College is open door, but due to limited clinical space, you have to actually apply through competitive admission for the radiography program. So the first phase deadline that is listed is going to be phase 1, June 1st. Okay, so if you are a brand new student, you've never been to RCC, or if you have taken the spring semester off, you didn't take any classes, you'll need to go ahead and fill out another application to the college. It is free. Make sure that we have official copies of transcripts from high school, any testing you did in high school. If you attended college somewhere else, then you want to make sure that we have those as well. Go ahead and apply for financial aid, even if you may not qualify, because the college's foundation will look at that financial aid application you completed to see if you could be eligible for any scholarships. So you want to make sure that you go ahead and fill that out. If you wait to take the English 111 and the math requirement, and if you decide to wait until you're actually in the program to take that, then you're going to have to be eligible to enter those classes without taking the requisite course that goes with it. If you have questions about if you need to do that, you can contact either myself or Miss Elaine still. You're going to want to make sure that you complete the TEAS 6 test. So you can take the test as many times as you want. There is no cut score. You can select RCC as your testing site, and at the back of the packet there's some information on that, so we'll share that information here in a few minutes. So like we said, there's no cut score. You can take the test as many times as you want, and your test score is good for 3 years if you decide to come in or are not admitted into the program this time. You need to make sure you have a 2.5 cumulative GPA. So even if you decide to take some classes in the summer, you want to make sure that your GPA doesn't dip below that 2.5. Attend your information session. And then 6 is submit documentation required for the ranking to Student Services Counselor. So you would email that to Miss Elaine Seal. And the documentation that we're talking about is if you have healthcare experience, and it can be even a volunteer basis, that has occurred for a period of 6 months or longer, at least part-time, and you've worked directly in patient care, then you need to have your supervisor write a letter just stating simply that, sign it, and send that to Miss Elaine Seal before the phase 1 deadline of June 1st. So Miss Seal is going to look at all of your information. You'll be ranked according to your GPA, according to your T-score. If you complete the biology class and if you complete math with a grade of A or B, you earn additional points. And then if you have healthcare experience, as we described there for item number 6, you'll get additional points. And then students will be ranked, the top 16 to 20 students, and that's going to be dependent on clinical availability, will receive an email through their My RCC email account during that week of June 15th. So make sure that week that you're keeping an eye on your email, you keep it cleaned out, because if your email bounces back to Ms. Seal, she's not going to resend it. You need to make sure that if you're offered a seat, you respond back to her within 7 calendar days, which includes Saturday and Sunday, okay, and let her know that you accept your seat in the program. And of course, if you don't want to come into the program, if you let us know that as well, that would be really helpful so we could offer your seat to an alternate. So then the next item is phase 2, which is all of our immunization requirements, and that really can take a long time to complete. And you'll notice that you'll find out the week of June 15th if you're admitted. Then you have to have all of your immunizations turned in by July 12th, so you don't have a lot of time. The other thing to note is that traditionally the college has not held classes the week of July 4th. So since faculty are not here that week, a lot of times staff takes that week off as well. So you're looking at you may have the entire week of July 4th that you aren't able to receive feedback on any of the information that you've submitted. So you'll want to go ahead now and start collecting all of your shot records. You can contact the health department where you were born. They should have that information. You can contact your parents to see if they still have the information. And you will upload all of that documentation into Moodle. So Miss Angela Bear is the administrative assistant for health sciences, and you'll receive communication from her during that phase 2 process. She'll create a Moodle shell for you, and that is where you're going to upload all of your medical documentation. What we require from you is very specific, because our clinical sites are even more strict on what they require from the students. So we have to make sure that we really have all of this information, so that way we can get you cleared for clinical. Okay. All right. So I'll run through the specifics for what you need for your immunizations in a few slides. Okay. So the other parts of phase 2 is you want to make sure that you have, in addition to your medical form completed, your immunizations, you are going to want to attend a CPR class and make sure it's through the American Heart Association. We don't accept any other. And then Ms. Baird will also provide you information for a background check and a drug screen, which is completed through investigative consultants. That information is sent to the clinical site. That program faculty never see anything from your background check or any results from your drug screen. It just goes directly from investigative consultants to the clinical site. And if the clinical denies you clinical access because of something on your background check or drug screen, then you would be dismissed from the program because you can't complete the clinical component. You'll also have to attend a new student orientation, and that'll be over the summer. It's typically the third Thursday in July. We don't hold any other sessions to make sure that you block off that date. You have to come typically in the morning, so you have to be on time and stay the whole time to get credit. If you don't, then your seat will be offered to someone else. We also don't offer extensions for any reason for the immunization requirements, so you want to make sure that you are really finding out what you need for all of those. Okay, so then we'll kind of skip ahead here. This is the ranking sheet. So this tells you specifically how Ms. Seal will rank you, determine who would be the top 60 to 20 students to be admitted into the program. Take a few moments to make sure you read the legal limitations of licensure and contact me if you have any questions or need help with that process. I also want you to take some time and read the radiography technical standards. So these are important because they are the minimum characteristics a student has to possess in order to be successful in the program. So if you read through all of these and you don't feel that you can meet each of them, then there's a strong chance you will not be successful in the program. So you want to make sure you are comfortable with and are able to meet all of those guidelines. This is a nice check sheet that Ms. Seal created for you, so you can just go through and kind of check off each item as you complete it to make sure that you are meeting all the requirements for each of the deadlines. This is information on the TEAS exam, so you actually will go to atitesting.com, which is this blue hyperlink here. Go to this website, you will register and create an account, and then from there you can select RCC as your testing site. If you choose not to test at RCC and you want to go somewhere else to take the test, then make sure that you call that testing center to see if they will transfer your scores out of that center, because some will not. So you don't want to pay all that money and not be able to have access to your scores. Make sure you prepare for the test in some way. Here's some links that have some study materials. RCC, through our continuing education department, offers a TEAS prep class, and it's typically like right before we offer the test here on campus. So you'll just want to contact continuing education to get dates for those, and you might want to consider signing up for that. And then here's some rules for test day. So you want to make sure that you take a peek at those before you report for your test. Okay, so now this is a very detailed document. We do recommend that you take this with you to your physician when you're going to have your medical form completed, because it explains exactly what our clinical sites require. And then, of course, it also has a little check sheet here, so you can look through your medical form that was filled out by your provider before you leave to make sure all of these items have been included. If not, then Ms. Baer will make you get that completed again before the deadline. So it's really important. Remember, you have a really short window between when you have to have all of your immunizations, your medical form, and your CPR actually complete. Not just in, but it has to be completed in its entirety and accurately. Okay, so we'll go through the medical form in a moment, because I want to pull that up so you can see it. So we'll drop down to item number 2. So you need to have 2 MMR vaccines, so it has to have the date listed and all of that, or a positive titer. So if you have a titer drawn for any of anything that's listed here on this form, you need to make sure there's a numeric value. Then underneath that numeric value, it provides a range of immunity. If that's not listed, then it won't be accepted. So it can't just say immune, it can't say positive, negative, it has to be an actual number, and then there has to be a numeric range of immunity. Okay, so then item number 3 is 2 varicella vaccines or positive titer. So once again, there must be a number value if you choose to have a titer drawn, if you can't show proof of 2 shots. And if you have the titer, it needs to have the number with the numeric range. 4 is the 1-dose Tdap. So this is not the tetanus booster. It has to be specifically Tdap. It's good for 10 years. Your B series, this one can be it can take the longest really to complete because it's a series of 3 shots. So you want to make sure that you have proof of all 3 shots. You can try to have a titer drawn, but most likely you're going to need the shots. So item number 6, you have a couple of different options for this. You can either complete a 2-step TB skin test. So that means you go to the doctor, you get a little shot underneath the skin in your forearm, and then you come back in a few days and they check it. You have to do that twice, okay? And it also must have a numeric result. It can't just say, no duration or anything like that. It has to actually have 0 listed, okay, or whatever it is. Or if you don't, want to do that, you can have a quant gold test. So this is kind of nice because it's just a 1-step test and you're done. So you can elect to do that, or you can have a chest X-ray option as well. But most students usually either do the 2-step test or the quant gold. So either one is appropriate. Okay, so COVID vaccine. Our clinical sites are requiring proof of COVID vaccine, so you want to just upload a copy of your card to Moodle when the time comes. You'll need your American Heart Association, your basic BLS certification, so it should have a skills test that came along with it. Classes are offered here at RCC. There's several in the spring. I think they're typically on like Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we'll just want a copy of your card. You'll complete a background check and a drug screen, and typically Ms. Bear will ask you to go ahead and do that as part of your phase 2. So along with your immunization requirements, she'll provide the documentation and the information that you need to complete that in Moodle. So you'll just need to follow those steps. Of course, you'll pay investigative consultants for that. So there is a fee associated with this. And I can't really say exactly what the fee is because it depends on, how many times you've changed your name, how many different addresses you've had. Okay, so we definitely suggest that you turn in all of your phase 2 documents at least, a week before the deadline. It'll provide you enough time to fix something if it's not accurate. If you wait till the last minute and there's something that needs to be fixed, there's a strong chance you won't be able to get into the program because you won't have time to fix an issue. So usually it's because the titer doesn't have an actual number value or range of immunity, or there's something missing on your medical form is typically what we see. Okay, so now I'm going to switch over and show you the student medical form. So the medical form has to be completed in its entirety. Leave absolutely nothing blank. Okay, so there's just some brief instructions here. So you want to make sure, whoops, I went too far. So on page 3 here, after you've read through everything on page 2, and this on page 3, you're going to want to print your name, sign your name, and then date. Okay, then here at the top, you want to make sure that you fill out all of this information, list your name, your address, okay, all of this information, date of birth, email. This is where you're going to list your insurance. If you do not have insurance, then simply write the word none. Here is your person that we would contact in case there's an emergency. Please list someone who is a blood relative. Not a boyfriend or girlfriend. It has to be someone who can really make medical decisions for you. Any medications you're on, go ahead and list those here. Okay. If you have any adverse reactions, please let us know. So everything here has to be filled out in its entirety. Don't forget to fill out your name again at the top and your date of birth. If it's not filled out there, then Miss Bear would kick it back to you and ask you to do that. And then once again on this page, same thing, fill out your name at the top, sign, date, all of that. Okay. And then this is the guidelines for your immunization records. So at the top, fill out your name and your date of birth, all of that. You indicate that each of these items have been completed and documented. Okay, so here is where that information can be documented. Once again, you'll notice at the top, name, and birthday need to be included. Down here at the bottom, it requests a healthcare provider stamp. So make sure that there's a stamp on that page before you leave your provider, after all the other info has been filled out. Okay, and then same thing here. Fill your name in at the top. Have all the immunizations filled in. You don't have to have your flu turned in by the phase 2 deadline because usually it's not offered till fall. So just know that you'll be required to have a flu shot in the fall, usually before you report to clinical. So then at the bottom of this page, your physician is going to need to sign their name, print their name, all of that, and then go ahead and fill out or provide their healthcare provider stamp on this page also. So they need to provide that on both pages. Okay, so then all of this information is going to need to be filled in. Don't leave anything blank. Both tests for vision are going to need to be completed, corrected, uncorrected, color vision. Your hearing tests, both of these are going to have to be filled, completed, both the gross and whisper. So if you don't see numeric values listed in both of these boxes for all of these little lines, then, you know, don't leave your provider. See if they can get that filled out for you too. Okay. And then at the bottom, they'll need to make sure that they sign, date, and provider stamp again. Okay. So if you would, just make sure that you send that test to Ms. Elaine Seal. Please feel free to contact us if you have any questions between now and then. And thank you for your interest in our program.